All right, welcome back to another episode of the Pal Bros Movie Reviews. We have uh, we have a sequel here today. We haven't done very many direct sequels, I would say. We've done some like
Have we?
connected
Well,
movies, like
besides
the
the X Men, I
X-Men,
don't. Yeah, I
but
don't think we've done
they've been
any.
mostly just like connected, not necessarily sequels,
Right.
without like huge time jumps and stuff. So it's a little different than what we've done.
Right.
I'm one of your hosts, Tobiah, and I'm joined with Trent, my brother.
Hello. Welcome,
I know
everyone.
you're sick, so
Yes, I'm gonna try to press on and make it through this.
for sure.
But we do what we gotta
Well, we
do to
got,
deliver.
well, yes, for sure. We do what we can to get you guys these reviews. Yeah, we got a lot going on with the future. This episode marks the halfway point for season one.
Yep.
So we thank you very much for supporting us thus far and getting us through half of this season. And it's pretty exciting. And we're really looking forward to the rest of this season as well.
Mm-hmm.
But after this episode, we will be taking a 2 week break from our main show. But during that 2 week break, we're not going to be just leaving you empty handed. We will be, with the following Wednesday, we'll be premiering our Movie Chronicle show to the public for free as its own public show for you guys to listen to.
Yeah.
And that'll be, Movie Chronicles with the Powell Bros, a free public show. And we'll be changing our Patreon show to mini reviews exclusively. And
Yeah. Short 10,
we'll
10 minute, 10, 15-minute reviews of movies. Kind
yeah,
of what we
yeah,
do here, but in miniature.
yeah. A lot less formal. We'll be kind of just, sometimes we might just pick a random movie that we both like or just one that we've seen recently. We might stick to some sort of rhythm like Nicolas Cage movies or something like that we talked about. Something fun like that. And yeah, we'll still keep our discussions on Stan Lee cameos and end credit scenes. We'll keep that all private for our patrons as well. And that'll be at the beginning of the mini reviews for you guys to listen to. So if you want to hear all that, you can subscribe to that and support us and help us to keep on making these things for you. Anyway, so that'll be our next week. We'll be releasing that episode, our first Movie Chronicle public episode here and on the channel for Movie Chronicles, so you can keep an eye out for that. So the week after that, our second week without our main show, we will be releasing one of our Patreon shows, a mini review episode, all in the same format as you can expect to see it on Patreon, to kind of give you guys an exclusive look into that and a taste to our listeners of what they could be getting every week with that subscription. And it's just a $5 a month subscription, and yeah, we'd greatly appreciate your support there.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
after that, we'll be back on March 20th with our regular show, and we'll be starting with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So that'll be quite a great leap back, and after that, our week after that, we'll be reviewing Madam Web,
Blech. Sorry.
because Madam Web takes
threw
place
up
in
in my mouth.
2003.
Nothing. Yeah.
Takes place in 2003,
Yay.
so right after Spider-Man.
Yay. So
Have you watched
excited.
it yet?
No, I have not. And you have. You say it's
I
not
have
as
seen
bad
it.
as people say. I heard that's
I-
correct. I heard it's not as bad as people say. I heard it's worse than what people say.
Really?
Yes.
Well, we'll have an interesting discussion on that, I'm sure.
All right.
I'm looking forward to that. I really don't see why. I'll just save everything for
Yeah,
when
let's save
we
it. That's
when we
fine.
have our discussion.
Yes.
But that's all the news we have for you guys right now, and we will get into our review. Yeah, this movie. What'd you think, Trent?
This was a really fun one. They definitely stepped up the action
Mm-hmm.
and and I wouldn't even say necessarily the vampire killing because he's killing this vampire hybrid thing. But yeah, I mean it's just it's still vampire killing for the most part. So they
Yeah.
definitely hyped it up a little bit, and definitely you could tell there's a little more money put into this movie, and so for that, I enjoyed it. It was a pretty typical early 2000s superhero action film. It was dark and gritty, but also really fun. And I'd say the story for the most part was enjoyable. I had some issues with it, especially in the third act. I feel like it kind of fell apart. There were a lot of characters, which as we've talked about before, like introducing so many characters in one movie is very difficult because it's hard to give characters arcs and give them stories and character development. So I think this movie suffered in that way because there were so many characters, but there were some standout characters that were really fun and were great to see and had a good story. I'd say others not so much, and so overall, like I said, it's a fun one. I think it's right below the first one for me. Like I think I enjoyed the first one a little bit more, maybe. Um, though I don't know. I might change my opinion by the end of this episode, but because I keep going back and forth because it's pretty close for me. I definitely wouldn't say
Hmm.
it's like a huge step down or anything, and it's pretty much on par with the first one for me personally. Um, yeah, I think that's probably
Hmm.
all my initial thoughts. What about you?
Um, I'm a little different than you. I didn't like this one a whole lot.
Really?
I think I just got a bad taste in my mouth just right in the beginning with a lot of the things that were happening,
Uh huh.
like Whistler coming back to
Well,
life.
oh yeah,
Um,
that was kind of dumb.
that was it didn't work the way he was like a vampire and then he cured him all of a sudden and he was just fine and there was no issues with that. Like that didn't make any sense and it was so rushed.
Hmm.
And like I get they were rushing it because they wanted him to be like his sidekick again,
Right.
and so that had to be rushed for him to get into that position again. But it didn't make any sense, and it just didn't seem to work. And then with Blade joining the vampires um, right off the bat, like we have this movie where he completely hates the vampires. He's killing them all this time, and then all of a sudden they want to join forces. Like they send two vampires to talk to him to convince him to
Hmm.
join them. It just didn't seem to. It seemed so out of character for Blade,
Hmm.
and I get some of that was kind of worked out in the end, but it's like putting that right in the beginning and the way they put it in just didn't seem to work for me,
Yeah.
and just seemed out of character, and so that just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth for the whole movie. I'm just like, well, this is like Blade working with vampires. Like I just don't think he would ever do that. It just doesn't seem like his character.
Hmm. Yeah. No. I mean, those are all very valid points, and I had very similar issues as well with that dynamic. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it set me off as much. Um, Bringing Whistler back, that was pretty cheap because it really just kind of took away the impact that his death had in the first movie, and it just
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, we're just gonna bring him back. I mean, I kind of understand because he was from what I know, he was a very fan loved character. The fans liked him a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and him and Blade have such good chemistry, and it really helps us see kind of the human side of Blade, which we struggled to see sometimes. But when he's with Whistler, um,
Yeah.
you kind of see a different side of Blade that we don't usually see, which and so I can understand that from that perspective to give him a little more character. And so I said that I'd say from the keep this movie in and of itself in its own isolation, isolate this movie, I think it kind of works okay. Like it's not as big of a deal if you don't consider what happened in the first movie.
Yeah.
So,
That is definitely, if you look at this movie as itself, even the other issue of like Blade joining sides with the vampires.
well, yeah, and
like,
that
it all
like
works fine.
it's
It
basically
all works fine as
right.
its own movie.
Right.
But if you take into account the first movie and the way he acted and behaved with the vampires, then it just doesn't work. But yeah, I agree with most of these issues. If you look at it as a movie by itself, then they kind of get resolved.
And with Blade joining those vampires, I mean, it's playing off the trope. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
That was a very big theme. In this
Or
movie.
like they have a common enemy. They want to kill this hybrid of vampire that's going to take over the world. And so, but even at that,
even that guy, the hybrid, tried to use that same trope with Blade, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, to get him to switch on the vampires to join his side.
And I think because I think what they were going for, and this is kind of similar to what they did in the first one, but I know there's a couple of lines that made this pretty clear, but they were trying to help us see that Blade was still wrestling with who he is. He's part human, but he's kind of part vampire. But he's not fully a vampire. He's got these unique abilities, but he still doesn't feel like he belongs. And so now he's teaming up with these vampires, and I think it was an interesting dynamic because these vampires were literally training to kill Blade. They're trained to kill the Daywalker, but now they're kind of forced to team up with him because they know that they need him in order to take down this hybrid vampire. So I thought it was an interesting dynamic, and they kept the tension throughout the whole thing. Like even when they the two vampires turned on Whistler in the sewer, it shows that they weren't, they're still willing to go at each other and they want to kill each other, but they also know they can't yet. But then you find out that I can't remember his name, but kind of one of the main the vampire, the bald guy.
Oh,
kind of like the main antagonist, sort of main antagonist, but
the dad or
no, not the
vampire,
hybrid. The guy who's on the team, he just hates Blade the whole time.
I don't remember.
I don't remember his name. The guy, he wears glasses. Yeah.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I like their dynamic, him and Blade, throughout the movie. But then you find out that he kind of set Blade up. But then Blade, once again, like the third act is messy.
They both had like their plans,
but they had their plans, and Blade wins out in the end.
Oh yeah, the fight with. So like when we find out that Scud was bad,
that was kind of odd. I don't know.
That whole scene was just awful.
It was like twist after twist.
It did not work. Yeah,
I turned on you. No, I turned on you. I saw this coming.
Yeah, it was a double twist that made no sense. Like at first the twist was good, like Scud being bad, like that was a good twist.
Yeah, fine.
But then Blade being like, "I knew you were bad the whole time," and then kills him, like literally blows him up.
I didn't
like
get that.
A second later,
I'm
like, really?
Why couldn't he blow up the guy that had the chip in his head if it does actually work? I didn't understand that.
I guess he like purposely didn't kill him.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
Weird.
Like, because I think he wanted to kill Scud.
Yeah.
Like, if he actually knew, like, he was planning to kill Scud.
Sure. Okay.
But it just feels like a very just poorly written.
It was. It felt really
scene,
forced,
like where the writer was just like, the writer was like, okay, he's Scud's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
But then wait, Blade would know this whole time. So then. After he already wrote the scene of him trying to kill the other guy and it not working, he's like, wait, no, I'm going to make it so he can kill him.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Right.
Like, but it just didn't work. The double twist it was dumb. Like, it was just really dumb.
It's kind of pointless.
Scud being bad was a good twist. And then
sort of.
It really did make the whole him being bad, like that twist, pointless. Like, it was completely pointless.
Right. Like,
they should have just not put any twist. If you do a double twist, it just makes it... You're just facing the same direction.
Yeah. Right. It just felt out of place and it didn't fit with the story, and
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, okay. And then Scud's dead, and that's it. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Whatever.
it didn't work.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah. And then like the whole thing with the daughter and the son and the
Oh,
the
yeah.
father, like I feel like that wasn't earned very well. So let's talk about the female protagonist, vampire lady. She, I feel like she was just very stiff the whole movie and didn't have really any character. And they tried to give her and Blade chemistry, but I'd never felt it, and I just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
So once you get to the point where she's, you know, like
Dying.
dying, but even before that, when she finds out her father betrays her, we have no reason to believe that she actually, like, why is she doing this for him, or like what is it that
Yeah.
I don't, it just wasn't earned, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say, because we didn't see any interaction with her before that, her and her father, and it was just
even making like the dad like the ultimate villain in the end, like that character just really didn't need to be there.
It didn't,
because even every scene he was in, like he was only in like 3 or 4 scenes really.
right.
It just it was pointless, and the reason he was in those scenes before like the end was just so that we know that he exists, and he really was just sitting in the background, not really doing anything, and then he's like ends up being like the mastermind behind the whole thing. Like, I created this guy, he's my son, and he's a failure, and he was pointless, and like you said, like with the son and the daughter, and like her like working for him or whatever, it just fell flat.
It did. And another thing, related,
You had these
her.
two characters. Sorry, you have these two characters that we didn't get to know either of them, and then you have this emotional scene with them. So it's like, why would we care? Like, okay,
exactly.
okay,
We have no reason.
yeah,
But even considering the female protagonist, and the other vampires, like when they introduced, specifically her, when they introduced her, I was like, okay, so I see what they're doing. They're gonna kind of humanize her, even though she's a vampire, and that's exactly what they did. You know, they made us feel sympathetic for her, and just made her a more human character. And I didn't want that. I mean, she's a vampire.
Yeah.
She is inhuman. She's undead. We shouldn't feel sympathy towards her. You know, because of who she is. And so I mean, it's Blade is about killing vampires. So let's not be sympathetic.
And
towards
he
them.
shouldn't. Yeah, and he shouldn't. That was another thing that was out of his character, was to fall for a girl like that, to fall for a vampire.
Yeah, that's true.
And because in the end he did kind of like show that he loved her. He let her suck his blood, and he carried her out to see the sunset and all that stuff. Like, he doesn't care about vampires.
No,
he doesn't care what she wants.
Right, that's true.
It's just, and a lot of this movie did humanize these vampires too, like, because they were there throughout the movie. Even the bald guy, like, he had some humanization to him. Like, he was a bad guy, but there was like humanization towards him, and he had character, and he had, motives and feelings and all these things. And like there was a tension between them, and
however, like that does kind of make him just a good villain, though, because it wasn't like we were supposed to be sympathetic towards him or feel bad that he got tricked by Blade and was killed.
Right.
So I know we were cheering against him the whole movie still. So
true.
So I don't know, like maybe they humanized him a little too much. Yes. Because you kind of forget at times that these are vampires.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's
yeah. I think that's what I was going towards.
Right.
For sure.
How do you think Wesley Snipes did in this one compared to the first one, just acting wise?
I don't remember noticing like a huge change necessarily. Yeah, I don't really remember. I don't remember noticing a huge change. What did you notice something?
I felt a little bit of an improvement on his
Yeah.
acting. I think just because he probably felt more comfortable in the role after doing the first one. Because I one comment I had about the first one was that he kind of didn't really know. I think it took him time to really get into his character, figure out what kind of character he's playing. Because sometimes he'd be super
Hmm.
serious and kind of stern and pretty stern. And then other times he'd kind of be like cracking jokes and being kind of silly at times. So it was kind of a
Hmm.
little bit all over the place. I think this one had a good balance because he did have some wisecracks, but it was consistent. I felt like throughout the movie, and he wasn't as serious, but he was serious enough in this role, and I think it was I think he did a good job.
Hmm.
Even better than the
Yeah.
first one. I
Yeah.
think he was meant for this role. He did an awesome job.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. No, I think yeah, even kind of me not noticing
Hmm.
like his acting shows
It's a
like
good thing.
that he
Yeah,
he did yeah, that's a very good thing. And he did a good job in this one for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can just kind of go over acting. Like that bald guy, I think he did a great job in his role.
hmm
Very intimidating villain. Very good with the acting in that sense.
yeah, totally.
The girl, like we said, was kind of flat.
Right.
Didn't have much character. Could have been the writing, but I don't know.
Uh huh.
I don't even know who she is or anything. So
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know the main villains. I mean, there was nothing that really like stood out. There's like poor acting or anything. We just didn't. I feel like we didn't see
mhm.
much of them.
Yeah, for sure.
And they all looked the same too, so it was like kind of hard to discern. Okay, are we fighting the main guy or are we fighting his henchman and or whatever? And
Yeah,
yeah, it was a little hard to follow at times, but as far as acting, I think it was fine.
yeah. There's one note that I just remembered in the villains, and with not seeing them very much, it worked really well that in the end that the vampires were actually the true villains, because even though we thought these other guys, these hybrids, were the real villains, in the end we see that they were created by the vampires, and
Hmm.
the vampires were the true villains in the end, even down to the ones that he was hanging out with, like trying to kill him in the end and stuff.
Right.
So with the vampires still being the villains, like the true villains, I thought
Mm.
that worked well.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of down to move into character development, sacrifice, Dark Knight of the Soul, all that.
Hmm.
I wrote down that his character development, we basically said this already, but is that Blade begins to see the vampires as people. I didn't write it down that it was a good character
Yeah.
development,
Right.
but
But that's
that
something they
was the
played on a little
character
bit.
development. Yeah, was
Yeah.
that he did see them as people.
Right. Yeah, and
And
I
then,
think there was a little bit of just trying to find his identity still, and
hmm,
maybe that's what they were kind of going for is like he saw
yeah,
you know
he kind of sees himself as one of them.
in some senses, but also recognizing that he's not,
Yeah,
but sympathizing with them
yeah.
more.
But then even like down to the sacrifice, like it wasn't like he wasn't giving his life or anything, but like him giving his blood for the girl,
Hmm.
um, and
Which he did in the first
like
one, didn't he?
willing to, yeah. It
Or it was the
wasn't.
other way around. Never mind.
Yeah, it was the
He
other way around.
took her
Yeah,
blood. Yeah,
yeah.
never mind.
But yeah, him giving his blood to her was kind of like the sacrifice.
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember the scene. Was he? That was at the very very end though, huh?
Well, yeah. And then there was that scene where he fell in that pool of blood,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was a really good scene because it for one to symbolize death and resurrection. He had a baptism of sorts.
Oh yeah,
He literally
yeah,
did, which is something that
yeah.
actually see often in movies. Interesting enough, you know, a a baptism, a washing, and renewal. Like usually that's not usually. Sometimes that's when the Dark Night of the Soul happens. You think of like scenes where it rains in movies. Usually it rains during Dark Night of the Soul, and it's a cleansing. It's a water baptism, and the character is being made new. Death, resurrection, new life. You see that often in movies, but you see that here, and it was literally washed in blood. But then he rises up and comes, and he's renewed, and then he kills the bad guy. And interesting enough, he kills him with no problem. Like that's what I also liked, is that they didn't have like another extended fight scene. He literally just finishes him right there. I was like, that was solid. I like that.
Yeah. I had that down as the Dark Knight of the Soul as well. Mm-hmm. I guess I wrote down his name, Reinhardt.
Oh yeah, Reinhardt. Reinhardt, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wrote down before the fight with Reinhardt, which was when he fell in the pool of blood. Yeah.
Or was there an extended fight after that? I can't remember. Because
it moved to the fight with the bald guy, not the bald guy, not Reinhardt, but the
vampire hybrid zombie thing.
Yeah, the hybrid. Yeah.
Yeah,
because like that was like the villain throughout the whole movie, so he had to kill him. So they moved into that scene after he killed Reinhardt.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah. I kind of saw that Blade, this is what I wrote for what he had to overcome, is that he had to not give up. Because he had like moments where he almost wanted to give up, almost needed to give up, but he chose not to give up on Whistler, and not to give up on his friends. Well, I guess Whistler's his only friend, but
yeah. Right. Well, yeah, because like, I guess he saw it coming, but Scud. I guess, he saw it coming, I guess, so it wasn't like he was surprised that he betrayed him, but he's kind of lost. He had lost almost everything at that moment. I mean, but he needed to fight for Whistler and to to end this plague of hybrid vampires.
Yeah.
So he decided not to give up, and he kept moving forward.
Yeah. You really see his heroism and that there's a great evil in this movie, and he fights to destroy them.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there really wasn't like a whole lot more character development. And I mean, Whistler.
Yeah, no.
He was kind of. I don't think he really like changed.
There was scenes where he was like confused at Blade, like, why are you falling for this vampire?
Right.
When he could see that Blade was starting to like the girl.
Right.
So he kind of sticks to his guns on his hatred for them, for sure.
Exactly. Which is fine. Yeah.
I don't know. Was there much more you wanted to talk about story-wise?
I don't think so. Like I said, I feel like the third act was just kind of all over the place. The first two acts were fine.
It was kind of rushed. A lot of stories coming to a close. Pretty common. Like I think that was the same problem with the last movie too.
There's too much going on.
A lot of things coming to an end.
Too many characters, like I said.
Yeah, for sure. Any comments on the CGI or visuals?
Yeah, I mean, early 2000s CGI, but I feel like it wasn't terrible. I think of movies that came out during this time, like Spider-Man, the Hulk the first Hulk movie that came out in the 2000s. You kind of have that like superhero CGI jumping around. I don't know how to even explain it. It just feels like they just kind of morph into like a little like thing, like little CGI
a lot of like
balls.
slow motion too.
Slow motion. You think of Matrix. That's a big example.
Yeah.
Which is it's for sure. They're doing the best they can with what they got, and I think they handle it fine. sometimes it was a little inconsistent. It's like, you know, they would just be fighting normally, and then all of a sudden they'd just be jumping in the air and then doing some like kicks and things and flips, and then they'd be back to just punching on the ground. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
but it was cool, and I mean it was fun action. It was like some of the I saw like some of the behind the scenes for this, and they actually used a lot of practicals for the zombie vampire hybrids. But also using CGI as well, and I didn't think it was terrible. Like when their
a lot of
mouths open up.
the prosthetics they did pretty good on all that.
Yeah,
There's the whole when they were dissecting that one, that was so gross. I wanted to throw
I was
up
I was
when
eating
saw
something
that.
when I watched that, and I was like, yeah, nope.
It was, pretty disgusting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. It was for the time that it came out. It was good, decent.
Yeah.
It's better than the first one.
Yeah, for sure.
CGI wise.
All right. Well, you want to move into ranking? Or are you?
Yeah, I think
ready
so.
to
I don't really
call this one? Yeah.
have a whole lot more to say.
I don't know. We might disagree a little bit on ranking for this.
It's all right. I definitely am putting this below Blade 1.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay. Is it better than Captain America: The First Avenger? I don't know.
I think I would
What were you gonna
definitely
say?
put Captain America above this one.
Above this one. Okay.
Yeah.
So what about X-Men?
Man.
I'm trying to think about because we just did X-Men.
I feel like it had a lot of the same issues this one did.
True. I think it did. Yeah.
Like a lot of the same issues. I remember we talking about the third act, how with a lot of it having a lot of characters, a lot of character stories coming together. Some characters not working, some were.
I mean,
I kind of want to put X-Men above it.
What about tying it? I mean, we can do that.
Yeah, I guess we could.
Because I think I would put it. Well, it's better. It's better than Apocalypse. Actually, no. I think I would put it. I would maybe put it in that 6.2 slot.
Yeah,
I think I could fairly do that. Just after talking about it, and
I think X-Men had more going for it than this movie.
right, a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I agree.
Okay.
So Blade 2, 6.2. I'm really curious about Blade Trinity. Have you ever seen it?
I have. Have you not?
No, I've not.
Oh wow.
I've heard it's pretty awful.
I didn't think about it critically.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fun movie.
Has
when
Ryan
I watched
Reynolds.
it, but I haven't thought about it critically.
Right.
So
Ryan
we'll
Reynolds
see.
before Deadpool
Yeah.
in Marvel. No one
We
talks
do
about that.
have-
Like literally, no one talks about that because we say that okay, he was in DC as the Green Lantern, and we know how that went.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was Deadpool. He was discount Deadpool in X-Men Origins, and then obviously brought in as Deadpool. So it's funny that he's in Blade Trinity and no one really talks about it. I have no idea what to expect. I mean, except for that I've heard it's bad, but I don't know why. And I'm gonna go in with pretty much a clean slate. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming
we-
it'll be a little bit until we watch it, but
Yeah, it'll be quite a while.
okay.
It's it'll be halfway through our second half of
Okay.
season 1.
Yeah.
So we'll be reviewing Spider-Man and Madam Web and Daredevil, X2, Hulk, all the fun movies, all the fun 2000s movies.
Oh yes, I'm actually looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
I can't wait to watch Spider-Man the next time we do this. Like because I don't think I've ever actually sat through and really watched it critically, like we've been doing with these movies, and so I'm just curious because I consider the first one typically to the second one's my favorite, of course. It is objectively a better movie. I know that, but I do consider the first one better. I think I like the first one better than most people, so I'm curious to see where I do stand after watching it.
Yeah, I've always, I mean, as great as the second one is, I've always liked the first one more than the second.
Really? Okay.
But yeah,
Well,
but critically, it's probably quite a bit better.
Maybe.
I
Yeah.
don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys listening. I know this
Yes.
is a bit of a shorter one for you guys, but Trent's sick, so we're keeping it shorter for him.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys' support
very much.
We look forward to getting back to reviewing movies soon.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Peace out.